The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the distant hum of engines in the sky. On the small border world, people had gone to their homes. But one man stood awake, watching the dark horizon. He was a human officer named Captain Rin, a soldier who had seen many battles, yet tonight something felt different. The ground shook and a strange ship descended like a shadow, its metal wings glowing faintly. It did not belong to humans. Everyone knew it. This was alien craft. When it landed, no voice came, only the hiss of air, and the doors opened slowly. Soldiers around Rin raised their weapons, but what came out was not an army. It was a single figure, chained, covered with a cloak, and escorted by guards in black armor. The alien guards spoke little, only delivered her with cold words. "The gift has arrived. Deliver her to your commander." Then they left, rising back into the night, leaving confusion behind. Rin looked at the figure, her chains rattling in the dim light. When the cloak slipped, he saw a woman but not human. Her eyes glowed faint silver, her skin smooth like crystal, her presence almost unreal. She did not look at him with fear but with sorrow. As if her heart had already been broken, Rin felt unease. This was no common prisoner. This was something more. Why was she given here, to him, on this forgotten planet? He stepped forward, his voice steady. "Who are you?" she whispered softly, her voice shaking. "I am no gift. I am a prisoner of an empire that does not forgive." The soldiers around them exchanged glances, unsure what to do. Orders had not come. No one knew why she was delivered here. Rin could feel their fear but also their greed. Whoever owned this woman might gain power. But something inside him stirred, not greed, not fear, but a strange pull. He saw in her eyes a spark of strength hidden behind pain. "Take her inside," Rin ordered, and the soldiers obeyed, though whispers followed them. In the small command post, the woman sat silently, chains heavy on her wrists. Rin paced before her. "Tell me why you were sent here." She raised her head slowly. "I was not meant for you. They sent me to the wrong man. They will come for me soon." Her words sent a chill through him. He asked, "Who were you meant for?" She closed her eyes, trembling. "For a lord who conquers worlds. He sees me as property, a prize, nothing more." The thought angered Rin, though he did not understand why. "You are not property," he said firmly. "You are a living being, and as long as you are here, no one will harm you." Her eyes widened in surprise, as if she had never heard such words before. But she shook her head. "You do not understand. They will not stop. They will burn this place to ash if you keep me." The room grew heavy with silence. Rin knew she spoke truth. He had seen such cruelty in the past, yet a part of him refused to surrender her. That night, he stood outside the command post, staring at the alien ship's trail fading in the stars. He thought about reporting her, sending her away, and saving his people from danger. But each time he remembered her eyes, the pain, the strength, the quiet dignity. He could not throw her back to the monsters who had broken her. The next day, whispers spread across the camp. Why is she here? Who is she? What power does she hold? Rin silenced them with strict orders, but he knew fear was rising. When night came again, he entered her room. She sat by the window, staring at the moon. "Do you have a name?" he asked. Her lips moved softly. "They called me Elira." He repeated it. Elira. The name felt strange yet beautiful. She looked at him, her silver eyes shining in the dim light. "Why do you keep me here? Why not return me?" He answered, without hesitation. "Because I believe you are not a gift, not a weapon, not a prize. You are more than what they call you." Her hands trembled, tears welled in her eyes. "No one has ever said that to me." Rin turned away, not wanting her to see the storm inside him. He was only a soldier, not a hero, but somehow this woman's fate now rested in his hands. Suddenly, a warning alarm broke the silence. A message flickered across the screen. The gift is missing. Return her at once. Rin's heart pounded. The enemy already knew. He looked back at Elira, and she whispered with fear, "They are coming." The night outside grew darker, and in the distance the sky lit with fire. The first of many ships was arriving, and war was about to begin. The message on the screen kept flashing. "The gift is missing. Return her at once." Captain Rin stood frozen for a moment, then quickly shut the signal down. He knew the truth. Elira was never meant for him. But if he sent her back, he would become her executioner. If he kept her, he risked war. The night passed slowly, filled with whispers and fear. Soldiers around the camp spoke quietly, some curious, some angry, some already dreaming of rewards if they handed her over. Rin could feel the tension. His command was slipping. But inside the small command post, Elira sat silently, her silver eyes watching the stars, as if they were calling her home. When Rin entered, she spoke first, her voice soft. "You should not keep me. They will destroy you for this." Rin crossed his arms, his voice firm. "If I send you back, they will destroy you instead." Her lips trembled. She turned away. "I was born in chains. I do not fear the end. But I do not want others to suffer because of me." Her words pierced his heart. He had never heard anyone speak with such quiet sorrow. He remembered her saying she was not a gift but a prisoner. And now he understood more clearly. She was part of a cruel trade, women taken, sold, and passed like objects between alien lords. Rin felt anger burning inside him. The empire that treated her like property had no right to her life. "You are not a weapon. You are not a prize," he said again. But this time with more force. Elira looked at him in shock, as if hearing such words was forbidden. For a moment, her eyes softened, and Rin could see hope struggling to live inside. The following day, a ship hovered close to the planet scanning for signs. It did not attack, not yet. It was searching, waiting. Messages came from human command. "Report the arrival. Confirm the gift's transfer." Rin lied, sending back false codes, hiding Elira's presence. But lies would not hold forever. That evening, Elira asked him quietly, "Why do you protect me? You know it will cost you everything." He paused, his eyes fixed on her face. "Because no one should live as property. Not while I breathe." Elira lowered her head, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. She whispered, "I was given to a lord who feeds on power. I escaped once, but they captured me again. This time I was meant to be chained at his side forever." Her voice cracked. "But something went wrong. I was sent here to you, by mistake." Rin shook his head. "No mistake, fate brought you here." But fate was cruel that night. Scouts returned with grim news. Alien hunters had landed on the far side of the valley. They were searching for someone. Rin knew instantly they were searching for Elira. He ordered his soldiers to stay quiet, to keep patrols low. But fear was spreading like fire. Some soldiers whispered that she should be given up to save their lives. Others remained loyal, trusting Rin's command. Rin himself struggled inside. His duty as a soldier said he should follow orders, protect his men, obey the higher command. But his heart, his very soul, told him another truth. If he gave her up, he would live with shame forever. It was not only about her anymore. It was about what kind of man he chose to be. The following morning, Elira tried to speak to him again. "I can leave. I can surrender. Maybe they will spare you," she said. Her chains rattling as she stood, Rin grabbed her shoulders firmly, his voice rising. "No, Elira. If they take you, they will not stop. They will come again and again, until all of us are broken. You are not the reason for war. You are only their excuse." Her eyes widened. She had never been spoken to like that. For a moment, her hands brushed his. A faint spark of warmth passed between them. It scared her, but it also gave her strength. Later that day, a soldier rushed into Rin's quarters, pale and shaking. "Captain, a coded message has come again. They know she is here. They demand her return within one cycle, or they will come with force." Rin dismissed the soldier. then turned to Elira, who was standing quietly at the corner. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Now you must choose, Captain, me or your people." The room fell into silence, the weight of her words pressing on him like a mountain. Duty said one thing, conscience said another, and both roads promised pain. But as he looked at Elira, her silver eyes filled with sorrow and strength. He knew the truth already. He could not betray her, not even for the safety of his world, he whispered almost to himself. "Then I choose the dangerous road." That night, he unlocked her chains, the sound echoing through the silent room. Elira gasped, her hands free for the first time in years, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Why?" she asked again, unable to believe. Rin simply said, "Because you deserve to be free, even if it cost me everything." But freedom came with a price. Outside in the valley, alien hunters drew closer, tracking her with merciless precision. Their eyes glowed in the dark, their weapons ready, their voices cold, and as the wind carried the sound of engines above, Rin knew the storm had begun. The dangerous choice had been made. There was no turning back, only forward, into the fire of war. The night sky above the valley glowed with faint fire. Alien hunters had landed, their ships spread out like claws gripping the land. They moved with cold precision, scanning, searching, every step a reminder that time was running out. "Captain," Rin stood at the edge of his camp, staring at the dark hills, his jaw tight, his hand gripping his rifle. He knew the choice he had made was dangerous, but now the danger had arrived. Inside the command post, Elira sat with her hands free, her silver eyes fixed on the floor. She whispered softly, "They are close. I can feel their presence." Rin turned to her, his voice steady but heavy. "Then we must move before they find us." Elira lifted her head, her face pale but strong. "If I stay, they will kill your men. If I go, they will take me. There is no escape." Rin shook his head sharply. "There is always escape, but you must trust me." As the camp prepared, tension grew like fire in dry grass. Some soldiers obeyed Rin without question, but others whispered, angry and afraid. One young officer spoke loudly. "Why protect her? She is not one of us. She is the reason they are here." Rin silenced him with a glare, his voice like steel. "She is not the reason. She is the excuse. And if we hand her over, we are no better than the monsters who enslave her." The camp fell quiet, though unease still burned in their hearts. Suddenly, a sharp alarm cut through the silence as scanners detected movement. Alien hunters approaching fast. Rin ordered everyone into defensive positions, but he knew they could not fight forever. The aliens were stronger, more advanced and merciless. The only hope was to escape into the wild canyons beyond the valley. Rin rushed to Elira's side. "You must come with me now." She hesitated, fear flashing in her eyes. "If I follow, they will track me. You will never be free of them." Rin's voice was low but firm. "Then let them chase. But they will not take you while I still breathe." Her breath caught, and for the first time a spark of trust lit her face. She nodded, and together they slipped out under the cover of night. The chase began. Dark shapes moved through the valley. Hunters, with glowing eyes and cruel weapons. Their footsteps echoed on the rocks, their voices like cold metal. Rin led Elira through narrow paths, climbing ridges and sliding down sharp cliffs. Every sound in the night felt like a threat, every shadow like an enemy. Behind them, the hunters drew closer, their scanners humming, their search relentless. At one point, Elira stumbled, her body trembling. Rin caught her before she fell, whispering, "Stay with me. Do not give up now." She looked into his eyes, her voice breaking. "Why? Risk everything for me? You do not even know who I am." Rin's voice was steady. "I do not need to know who you were. I only see who you are now, and I will not let them take you." Her eyes glistened with tears, but she nodded, and together, they pressed on, hours, past the night stretching endlessly. Then the hunters finally caught their trail, beams of light slicing through the darkness, shouts echoing across the rocks. Blaster fire erupted, sparks exploding as rocks shattered around them. Rin pulled Elira behind a ridge, shielding her with his body, returning fire with sharp precision. But they were outnumbered, and the hunters kept closing in. Elira's hands trembled, her breath ragged, and then something strange happened. The air around her shimmered, faint currents of light swirling from her skin. Rin saw it, his eyes widening. "What is happening?" She shook her head, her voice filled with fear. "I swore never to use it, but if I do not, you will die." Before he could answer, she raised her hands, and the light burst forward. Machines froze, scanners went dark, hunters stumbled as if blinded, their weapons sparking. Rin stared in shock as Elira's power bent the world around them, a gift both beautiful and terrifying. When it ended, silence fell. The hunters scattered, retreating to regroup. Elira collapsed, weak and trembling, her body shaking from the strain. Rin caught her in his arms, whispering, "You saved us." She looked at him with tears in her silver eyes. "No, I doomed us. Now they know what I carry. Now they will. Never stop." He held her close, his voice steady. "Then let them come. I will stand with you always." But inside he felt the weight of her words. She was more than a prisoner, more than a gift. She was something the alien empire wanted, at any cost. And now they would chase them across the stars. The dawn broke slowly over the horizon, painting the cliffs in red light. Rin and Elira stood together, their shadows long against the rocks. The chase had only just begun. But a new truth was clear. Elira was no ordinary woman. She was a secret worth wars, and Rin had chosen to protect her. Whatever came next, there was no turning back. The sun rose slowly over the canyon, casting long shadows on the stone. Rin and Elira rested in a hidden cave, their breaths heavy, their bodies weak from the chase. Outside, the wind carried faint echoes of alien hunters still searching, their ships circling like predators in the sky. Rin checked his rifle, his eyes scanning the cave entrance, but his thoughts were on Elira. She had saved him with powers he had never seen, powers she had tried to hide. Elira sat against the stone wall, her silver eyes dim, her face pale. Her hands shook as if they still carried the weight of the light she had released. When Rin approached, she spoke softly. "You saw it. You saw what I truly am." Rin knelt before her, his voice calm but firm. "I saw your strength, and I saw your pain, but I do not understand." She turned her head away, tears threatening to fall. "Because if you understand, you will fear me as they do." For a long silence, only the wind filled the cave. Then Elira began to speak, her voice, fragile but steady. "I was born in the Empire, not as a daughter, not as a child, but as an experiment." Rin's eyes narrowed, listening closely. "They bound technology into my blood, into my mind, machines and light woven into me. I became their creation, half life, half weapon." Her voice cracked. "To them I was not Elira, I was property, something to be used, something to be sold." Rin clenched his fists, anger rising inside him. "Those monsters," he muttered. "They made you into a weapon against your will." Elira nodded slowly, her tears falling at last. "Yes, and every time I used my power, it reminded me that I was theirs, never free, always chained." She looked at him, her silver eyes shining with sorrow. "That is why they hunt me. Whoever owns me controls a weapon that can bend machines, that can turn wars." Her voice dropped almost a whisper. "That is why I was meant to be sent to a lord, a man who would chain me at his side, using me to conquer worlds." Rin felt a storm inside him, duty and rage clashing. He reached for her hand, his voice steady. "Elira, listen to me. You are not a weapon, not property. You are a person. Your power is not who you are." She trembled at his touch, her heart torn between hope and fear. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. "To them I was always less. Always a prize, never myself." Rin's eyes burned with quiet fire. "Then hear it now. You are not their bride, not their gift. You are Elira, and you choose who you are." Outside, a ship roared low across the canyon, shaking the ground. Elira flinched, clutching her arms. "They are closing in. They will never stop. Do you not see?" By keeping me, you doom yourself, your people, your world. Rin stood, his voice sharp. No, Elira, they doom themselves because they think they can own life. They think they can take and take without end. He looked at her with fierce resolve. But I will not give you up, not now, not ever. Elira's lips parted in shock, her chest rising with a trembling breath. Her chains were gone, yet she still felt their weight in her mind. But his words struck like light cutting through the darkness. For the first time, she wondered if freedom could be real, but hope was dangerous. She had learned that long ago. That night, as they hid deeper in the canyon, Rin asked her about her powers. How do they work? What can you do? Elira hesitated, then explained. The machines in me connect to energy, to light. I can bend signals, blind scanners, even control ships, but it costs me every time I use it. I lose a part of myself. Her voice was soft. If I use it too much, I may not survive. Rin listened, silent but thoughtful, realizing the price she carried was heavier than chains. Later, when the campfire burned low, Elira looked at him, her eyes filled with conflict. You should send me away. Let me run far. Maybe they will follow me and leave you safe. Rin leaned forward, his voice strong. No, Elira, I will not abandon you. You deserve more than a life of running. His words struck her heart, and for a moment she felt warmth where once there was only cold. But fate gave no mercy. At dawn, the sky filled with shadows. Fleets of alien ships surrounding the planet, their message clear. They had come not just for Elira, but for war. The soldiers in the valley panicked. Sirens screamed. The ground shook with the force of engines. Rin stood at the cliff's edge. Watching the horizon burn, his face carved with determination, Elira came to his side, whispering, This is because of me. He turned to her, his voice firm. No, this is because of them. You are not the reason. You are the prize they want. Her silver eyes shone with both fear and courage. She placed her hand on his arm, her voice trembling. Then I will stand with you, no matter the cost. Rin looked at her, his heart heavy yet strong, and whispered, Then we face them, together. The sky roared with thunder, the ground shook with fire. The war had reached their doorstep, and the secret of the alien bride was no longer hidden. The Empire would stop at nothing, and Rin had chosen to defy them, for Elira, and for the truth that she was not a weapon, not a gift, but a life worth fighting for. The morning sky burned with fire. Alien ships hung above the valley like dark vultures, their engines rumbling. Across the land, the people of the border world looked up with terror, knowing the Empire had come. Soldiers ran through the camp, shouting orders, sirens screamed, and families hid in fear. Captain Rin stood at the command tower, his eyes locked. On the fleet above, his heart heavy but unshaken, Elira stood beside him, her silver eyes filled with sorrow. This is because of me, she whispered, her voice breaking. If I was not here, they would not come. Rin turned sharply, his voice firm. No, Elira, do not carry their sins on your shoulders. This war is not your fault. They would come for power, with or without you. Her lips trembled, but his words struck deep. Giving her strength she thought she had lost. The first attack came like thunder, beams of light slamming into the ground, shaking the earth. Buildings shattered, smoke rose, screams echoed. Across the camp, soldiers returned fire, but their weapons were small compared to the Empire's might. The battle had begun, and the humans were already outmatched. Rin ordered his men to hold the line, every heartbeat counting, every shot precious. He stood at the front, his rifle steady, his voice carrying over the chaos. Hold fast, protect the civilians. We fight for more than survival. We fight for freedom. The soldiers rallied to his words, though fear still clung to their hearts. Elira watched, her hands trembling, the machines inside her whispering for release. She wanted to help, but she feared the cost if she used her power too much. She might lose herself, yet if she did nothing, many would die. She turned to Rin, her voice weak but urgent. Let me fight. Let me use what I am. Rin shook his head. No, not unless it is the only way. I will not see you destroyed by the same power that enslaved you. Hours passed, the camp turning into ruins. Yet the humans held on with desperate courage. Children were carried to safety. Families fled into caves while soldiers gave their lives to buy time. Every blast, every scream, carved deeper into Rin's heart. He knew they could not win by force, not against such overwhelming power. The Empire wanted Elira, and they would burn everything until they had her that night. As the fires of battle still raged in the distance, Elira sat in silence, her face pale from grief. She whispered, "This suffering, all of it follows me. Maybe I should surrender. Maybe if I go to them they will leave your people." Rinny knelt in front of her, his eyes fierce. "No, Elira, listen to me. You are not the cause of this, you are the excuse. If they take you, they will still burn worlds. They will still conquer. You are not the reason, you are the prize." Her breath caught, her tears falling, but for the first time she believed his words. The next day the Empire sent a message, their voice cold and merciless. "Return the gift, or your world will be ash." Rin stood before the screen, his soldiers watching, the people trembling. He answered with steel in his voice, "She is not a gift and she will never belong to you." The message ended with silence, but all knew the Empire would answer with fire. That evening, as the camp prepared for another assault, Elira approached Rin, her voice soft but filled with resolve. "You risk everything for me, but I cannot let you carry this alone. If I must fight, I will fight at your side." Rin looked at her, his chest heavy with both pride and fear. "You have already carried more than anyone should, but if you choose this path, then we face it together." She nodded, her eyes glowing faintly with light, not from fear, but from courage. The Empire returned at dawn, their ships descending lower, their hunters marching through smoke and fire. Rin led his soldiers, Elira at his side, her power stirring within her. The humans fought with every ounce of strength, but the enemy pressed harder. Blaster fire tore through walls, explosions shook the ground, and screams filled the air. Yet through the chaos, one thing stood firm. Rin's voice, calling his soldiers to stand, calling his people not to break. In the midst of battle, Elira raised her hands, light flowing from her skin, machines bending to her will. Enemy scanners went blind, ships faltered in the air, and hunters froze mid-strike. The humans gained precious moments, striking back, pushing forward. For the first time, hope flickered among them. But the Empire did not retreat. Instead, their great warship descended from the clouds, its shadow covering the valley. A voice echoed across the land, deep and cruel. "Return what is mine or be crushed." Elira's heart froze. She recognized the voice, the alien lord who had once claimed her, the master who had called her his bride. Rin looked at her, his jaw tight, his eyes burning. "Then let him come. Because you are not his, you never were." The people of the border world trembled, their fate hanging by a thread. But in the middle of fire and fear, one truth had been spoken. Elira was no gift, no bride, no weapon. She was free, and Rin had sworn to protect her. The war had only begun, and the Lord of the Empire was stepping onto their doorstep. What came next would decide not only their lives, but the fate of all who refused to bow. The valley lay in ruins, smoke rising to the sky as the Empire's warship loomed above. Its shadow swallowed the land, its engines rumbling like thunder. The people of the border world huddled in fear, their homes broken, their hope fading. Yet in the center of this chaos stood Captain Rin, his rifle ready, his eyes burning with defiance. And beside him stood Elira, her silver eyes glowing faintly with power and resolve. The alien lord's voice echoed again from the warship, deep and cruel. "Return what belongs to me, or all of you will burn." The words cut through the air like knives, but Rin did not flinch. He shouted back, his voice strong, "She belongs to no one. She is not your gift, not your prize, not your bride." The people heard his words, and something stirred in their hearts, a spark of courage that refused to die. Elira placed her hand on Rin's arm, her voice trembling. "He will come himself. He will not rest until I am his again." Rin turned to her, his voice steady. Then we stand together no matter the cost. Her breath caught, her heart torn between fear and something she had never known before. Trust. For so long she had lived in chains, treated as less than human. But now this man stood by her as if her life was worth more than all the armies in the sky. The next attack fell hard, fire raining from above, the ground shaking under endless blasts. Rin rallied his soldiers, his voice carrying across the chaos. Protect the civilians, fight for every life, we will not break. Elira stood at his side, using her power carefully, blinding enemy scanners, bending machines just enough to buy precious time. The humans fought harder not just for survival, but because they saw their captain defy an empire and they refused to let him stand alone. As the battle raged, Elira turned to him, her voice urgent. I can do more. I can stop their machines, but it will take everything I have. Rin shook, his head fiercely. No, you will not destroy yourself for them. You are more than a weapon. She looked at him, her silver eyes shining. Then let me be more. Let me fight not as their creation, but as Elira, the one who chooses. For a long moment, their eyes locked. Soldier and prisoner, human and alien. Two lives bound by choice, not chains. At last, Rin nodded, his voice low but strong. Then we fight as one. Together they led the survivors, guiding them into the caves, striking back where they could. Rin gave orders, Elira bent enemy signals, and for the first time, the people saw hope. Fragile but real. Children clung to their parents. Soldiers bled but did not surrender, and whispers spread through the caves. If we stand with them, maybe we can survive. But the alien lord was not blind. From the warship, his voice thundered. You defy me, human. You shelter what is mine. Then I will take her myself. The warship's gates opened, and from the fire and smoke descended the lord of the empire. Tall, armored, his eyes glowing with cruel light, his presence crushing. Like a storm, the ground seemed to bow under his weight as he stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Elira. His voice was cold, sharp, and filled with hunger. Bride, return to me. Elira's body froze, old chains of fear pulling at her heart. But then she felt Rin's hand on hers, strong and steady, grounding her. His voice cut through her fear. You are not his, Elira. Not now. Not ever. Her silver eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, she stood tall, her voice steady. I choose him, not you. The words rang like thunder, shattering the silence. The alien lord's face twisted with rage, his power flaring. Then you will die with him. The battle between them began. The lord struck with force that shook the earth. His weapon slicing through stone, Rin blocked, firing, dodging, his body straining against the strength of a giant. Elira unleashed her light, bending machines, turning blasts aside, pushing back with everything she had. Together they fought, not as master and servant, not as soldier and prisoner, but as equals. The people watched from the caves, their hearts pounding, hope rising as they saw the impossible. Two souls standing against an empire's lord. The fight raged on, sparks and fire filling the air, every strike a clash of power and will. Rin was thrown back, his body bruised, his breath ragged. Yet he rose again, his eyes burning with unyielding resolve. Elira faltered, her energy draining, yet she pushed forward, her voice a cry of defiance. I am not your bride. I am not your gift. I am free. Her light burst brighter than ever before, shaking the machines around them, crippling enemy weapons. The lord staggered, his armor cracking, his roar filled with fury and disbelief. In that moment, Rin stood. Beside her, their strength united, their bond unbreakable. He raised his rifle, she raised her light, and together they struck. The alien lord fell to his knees, his voice filled with rage. This is not the end. Then his body crumbled into the dust of defeat, his warship above faltering, retreating into the sky. Silence followed, broken only by the cries of relief from the caves. The people poured out, their voices rising in hope. They fought for us, they protected us, we are not broken. Rin stood, exhausted but unbowed, Elira at his side, her body weak but her spirit burning brighter than ever. She looked at him, her voice soft but full of meaning. You gave me strength. You gave me choice. I am no longer theirs. I am mine. Rin placed his hand gently over hers, his voice quiet but sure. And you are not alone anymore. The bond between them was no longer built on fear or chains. It was something greater, born from sacrifice, trust, and a promise that crossed species and worlds. And though the Empire had been wounded, Rin knew the war was not over. But he also knew one truth. Together, they were stronger than fear, stronger than chains, stronger than the Empire itself. The warship fled into the sky, leaving the valley in silence. The people stepped out from the caves, their faces pale but their hearts burning with new courage. They had seen something no one believed possible. A human captain and an alien woman standing against the Empire's Lord and living. For the first time, hope was stronger than fear. Captain Rin stood among the ruins, his body bruised and weary, his rifle heavy in his hands, but his eyes were steady, watching the stars where the warship had vanished. He knew this was not the end. The Empire would return. They would not forgive such defiance. Beside him, Elira stood, her silver eyes glowing, faintly with light, her body weak but her spirit unbroken. She whispered, "They will come again, stronger than before. They will not stop until I am theirs or destroyed." Rin turned to her, his voice quiet but fierce. "Then let them come, because you are not theirs and you never were." The people gathered around them, some kneeling, some raising their hands in gratitude. Children clung to Elira, not with fear, but with trust. Old men bowed before Rin, whispering, "You gave us strength. You gave us freedom." But Rin shook his head. "No, not me alone. It was all of us standing together, refusing to bow." As days passed, the border world began to heal. Houses were rebuilt. Families returned from the caves. Soldiers buried their dead with honor. Yet even in peace, the shadow of the Empire lingered. Every night, people looked to the stars, waiting for the sound of engines. And every night, Elira sat beside Rin, her heart torn between fear and hope. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, painting the sky in red and gold, Elira spoke softly. "Do you ever regret it? Choosing me, choosing this dangerous road?" Rin looked at her, his face calm but his eyes deep with truth. "No, Elira, I do not regret, because the moment I chose you, I chose what was right." Her breath caught, her chest heavy with emotion. "I was sent as a gift, but you never treated me as one." Rin placed his hand over hers, his voice low. "Because you were never a gift. You were always Elira, a life, a person, someone worth more than all the power in the stars." Tears filled her silver eyes. Her voice trembling. "For so long I believed I was nothing but property, a prize to be traded, but you showed me I was more. You gave me freedom." Rin's jaw tightened, his voice strong. "No, Elira. You gave yourself freedom. I only stood beside you." Her lips curved into a faint smile, her heart lifting with warmth she never thought she would feel. But peace was fragile. One night, a signal pierced the sky, a warning from scouts. Empire ships had been seen gathering beyond the stars, preparing for another strike. The people panicked, but this time their fear was tempered by courage. They had seen the Empire bleed, and they believed they could fight again. Rin gathered his soldiers, his voice steady. "We cannot run, we cannot hide, but we are not powerless. We will stand, and we will resist." Elira stood at his side, her light glowing brighter than before. She looked at the soldiers and civilians, her voice clear. "I was once a prisoner, chained and silenced, but now I choose, and I choose to fight with you. Not as their weapon, but as Elira." The people cheered, their fear breaking, their courage rising. For the first time, they saw her not as a danger, but as a leader, a symbol of hope. The final battle came at dawn, the sky filling with fire as the Empire's fleet descended. But this time the humans did not tremble. They stood ready, with Rin at the front and Elira shining beside him. The clash shook the heavens, ships exploding, fire raining down, soldiers fighting with desperate courage. Elira unleashed her full power, bending machines, blinding fleets, turning the Empire's weapons against themselves. Her body shook with the strain, but Rin was always there, his voice grounding her. "You are not alone. Fight with me." Together, they struck at the Empire's heart, their bond stronger than chains, stronger than fear. The final warship fell in flames, the enemy retreating at last, their power broken. The sky cleared, silence following the storm, and for the first time in generations, the border world was free. As the people celebrated, Rin and Elira stood together. On the hill overlooking the valley, smoke still rose in the distance, but the horizon glowed with hope. Elira turned to him, her voice soft. "All my life I thought I was nothing but a gift, a possession, a chain." She reached for his hand, her silver eyes shining with tears. "But with you, I was never a gift. I was myself, I was free." Rin squeezed her hand, his voice steady and warm. "And you always will be, Elira." The wind carried their words across the valley, across the broken stones and rebuilt homes. And though the Empire still lived beyond the stars, everyone knew the truth. The people were no longer afraid. The soldier and the alien bride had shown them that chains could break, that freedom was worth fighting for. Elira lifted her face to the sky, her heart no longer bound by fear. She was not a prize, not a weapon, not a bride. She was Elira, and she was free.